Hello, everyone. It's Stacy here. I am here to do somewhat of a book review on this book called But Where Are You Really From by Shakayra Stern. So this is a book written by a girl who is mixed with Black and Austrian. Oh, here's a picture of her here. Um, and so my sister, she actually, I believe she read it and then she passed it down to me because we are mixed as well. We're mixed with Black and German. And so you don't have that many books out there written by mixed girls talking about their mixed girl experience. And so I wanted to go over this. It's a very fast read. It's roughly 65 pages, and so, some of these pages are literally just quotes. Um, and she kind of goes over different topics. And so I thought it would be kind of nice or interesting to go through each of these topics. So this is a table of contents. And share my take on these topics. She has her own opinion on these. Granted, her experience is very different from my experience. She grew up in a predominantly white environment in Austria, um, and I grew up in America. And I am an army brat. So I moved a lot and I lived in places where there were other mixed children. And I didn't really experience not being around mixed people until I went to college. And that continues to be the case to this day. So I didn't actually experience what it feels like to be the only mixed person until I got around the age of 18. Okay, so half of my life, my actual bringing itself, I was around a few mixed people. Obviously, it still wasn't as much as like if you were black or you're white. At least there were a few people that I could relate to. Um, I'll be honest, like growing up, because we grew up in a mixed environment, I always had friends of every race. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian. It wasn't until I went to college that I realized that that actually is not the norm and that I had to start choosing. I will say that now that I am in the DFW area, I am starting to go back to that thought process. I actually enjoy all cultures and I don't like just hanging out with one culture. I go crazy if I just hang out with one culture because I'm sorry, I grew up around so many cultures. I appreciate the differences in all the cultures. And so if I have a choice, I would love to just hang out with everyone because that's how I grew up. So, okay, so to just give you a rundown of the topics I'm going to cover. Again, I'm not going to go in depth in her. Some of the stuff I might have, things that I'll say. But these are the names of the chapters that she has. Dating. Do we have mixed privileges? The fetish. The false expectation. Our skin tone, the corporate world, our identity, expectations, our hair, biology, our character, our parents, and our heritage. So I'm just gonna go through each one of these. For starters, with dating, um, I did not date a whole lot in life, just in general. And so I don't really have like the same experience that she has in this book. However, I will say when I moved to the Dallas area, that's when I realized that there is a thing of Black men in particular wanting to date mixed or light skinned women. And that obviously I did not like. I'm married. I was married when I moved up here, but I have been approached by black men quite frequently. Um, and I find that a lot of black women do not like me. Um, and I know why. It's because of the black men. It has nothing really to do with me per se. It's the fact that black men, not all black men, but a lot of black men like light skinned women. And so, um, I know that there's a little bit of anger in with some black women when they see me because I'm a threat. There's not that many black men to choose from. And the black men who are available, they're trying to get with light-skinned women or white women or, other women in general. So I know that that is a thing. Um, but other than that, I personally have not experienced anything with like, oh, dating. I do know that some men see mixed girls as exotic and that's supposed to be exciting for them. Um, but me personally, because of the way that I carry myself and, I just wouldn't, I mean, growing up, I just wouldn't just date anyone. Like I had a lot of crushes. I had a lot of crushes growing up. Um, but my main priority when I was younger was my relationship with God. I mean, it still is, but like I knew that like for me, I just wasn't going to date until I knew I was ready to date. Um, and was gonna be more serious with my dating. And so I just didn't, for me, it was never a thing. Um, so yeah. Um, so that's all I have to say about dating. The next one is, do we have mixed privileges? I will say yes, we do have mixed privileges, and I actually appreciate my mixed privileges. So, what are the mixed privileges that I'm aware of? So, because I'm mixed, I feel that I am accepted in both. Well, I'm mixed with Black and German. So, I feel like I am accepted within the Black community and within the white community. I feel like um, within the white community, particularly, and this might sound racist, I'm not trying to sound racist, but I know for some individuals, they're kind of hesitant to talk with Black women. But with me, they're a little bit more open because my mother is white. And so I know that there is a thing, unfortunately. I mean, again, this is not something that I noticed until I was older. When I was younger, it wasn't really like a thing because, like I said earlier, I grew up in a military community where everybody talked to everyone. But that is something that I did notice later. Um, I am, I do notice that I am accepted within the white community a little bit more. That's not always the case. Some people still see me as a black woman, and those women, white women who do not like black women, they won't really talk to me, and that is a thing. I talked to my husband about this for some reason, and you could comment and tell me if you agree or not. Again, I'm not trying to start controversy or anything, but I find that white women are open to talk to black men. It's okay for them to talk to black men and and have conversations, but white women talking to black women is less frequent. Um, I think in part because of the environments that I've been in, a lot of the white women I've been around, they're more open to talk to me because of the things that I do are kind of like whitish, I guess, and that sounds bad, but like ballet, for instance. Obviously, yes, there's black women that do ballet, but it's predominantly a white type of activity. And so I know that they are more prone to talk to me because I do something that is more European, Eurocentric type of thing. So there's that. And then when we go to we've gone to white churches, and so obviously they see me as identifying with the white culture, so they're more open to talking to me. And they'll be honest too with some things, even if it's like race things, they're open to talk to me, as opposed to if I was black, I think they would be more hesitant to say some of those things that are um regarding black and white types of things, which I think is quite interesting. Um, the same is true within the black community. So, black people will say things that they will never say in front of a white person, but they will say it in front of me, forgetting that I'm half white, you know? So, it happens both ways. I will say that, going back to that comment, when white people say things about black people, it's never disrespectful. They never say things like racist things. At least from what I've encountered. Maybe they still see me as black, and that's why they don't say it. But I've never heard them say racist things. However, my black friends, when they bring up white people, it's most of the time it's racist. And I will tell you, I'll be honest, I hate it to death. I do. And it's a real turnoff for me. The recent years, I haven't hung out with as many black people because of that, because I feel like it, like, just because of racism does not give you the right to say racist remarks. The majority of the white people that were in America did not own slaves. Um, not everyone was racist. Not everyone thought racist things. In the South, yeah, there was a lot of racists in the South. But if you actually know the history, like, slavery would not be abolished if it wasn't for white people. Like, literally, there were so many white people that were fighting for uh, you know, for the equal rights of blacks and whites. And but that's a side note. That's a side note. And not everyone's the same. So, like, and I take this case because my mother is German. She's not American. So she was not in America. My descendants on the white side were not American. They didn't have slaves. If you go to Germany, like, now it's a lot different, but it was very uncommon for Germans to have slaves. That was not a thing. So for me, like, when black people talk about white people and they just say it like a general thing, personally, I feel it's like ignorance. I feel like it's horrible, in my opinion. Yes, there's white people who had slaves, but guess what? There were black people who had slaves in America, mind you. Black people own slaves in America, just like white people own slaves. Um, every single nationality owns slaves some point in their life. So yeah. Anyways, that's a side note. um, So that is a privilege that I think I have. I also feel like I can morph depending on the environment I'm in. So, yes, there is actually a difference between how white people act and how black people act. And I know that it is difficult for some people to change when there are certain environments. Quite frankly, I feel comfortable in both. I can act quite white, I can act quite black. So that's just me. I know that there's black people who've learned how to act white, but that's not natural for them to act that way. Like, they don't feel comfortable in that way. They just put on a face for work. Me, I feel comfortable in both environments. It does not bother me. I don't feel like I'm putting on a face. Those white people who get to know me, they get to see both sides, and they're like, "Oh, wow, so she has this side of her and this side of her." And so, yeah. So I do think that's a privilege. I also think it's a privilege being mixed. because I get to experience multiple races or cultures. So my mom is German and my dad is African American. And, so I get to experience the history and the culture of both of those, which I think is great because they're two extremes. If I was just black, all I would have is that black history. All I would have is that, right? Or if I was just German, I would just have the German. But because I'm mixed, I get both, and they are completely different. And it's such a rich culture, and I really do appreciate it. Um, and yeah, I think it's a privilege for me to be able to experience that. Um, All right, the next one is the fetish. I kind of feel like this goes along with the dating. So I do think that there is a fetish when it comes to mixed people, in particular the mixed race where there's a black and white or similar, because you do get the tan skin color, the curly hair, and I do feel like in both the black and white, I know I'm talking a lot about black and white, but I am mixed with black and white, so that's the place I'm coming from. I do feel that in both cultures there is this kind of fetish with the mixed people in a sense. So both cultures, they love the curly hair. They do. You have white people who are trying to curl their hair. They'll put rollers in their hair. They'll braid their hair a certain way to get the waves, to get the curls, to get the texture like the mixed girls. They're not trying to get it kinky like the black women. I'm not trying to dog the black woman, but it's the truth. Their hair that they're trying to make their hair more like the mixed person. Now some of them, yes, they keep their hair like bone straight and all that, but they get excited when they like braid their hair and then they take it out and it has these curls. And there was a time where they were getting perms and making their hair curly, right? So that was a thing. Um, I think in the black community it's the same. Um, Especially in the recent years with the curly girl movement. So, a lot of the black women have been growing their hair out. And some of them, their hair is naturally similar to mixed, the mixed race, the mixed curly hair. But some black women purposely change their hair. They'll stretch their hair out. They'll do things to their hair so that it looks more like the mixed girls types of hair. So I do think that is a thing. It is a look that people are trying to uh, portray and emulate. I've been having my hair curly before the curly hair thing has been going on. I've been doing it since middle school is when I started having my hair out curly. And that wasn't like going natural was not a thing. I never put a perm in my hair. I never, I did straighten my hair for, there was a time in my life I would put a flat iron to my hair and straighten it. Because it was just it's still easy. It's easy when it's straight because I literally don't have to comb it. It stays untangled. Um, but generally, I have it curly now. And so that is a thing. The other thing is the skin tone, and I'm probably going to end up getting into this later. It is kind of weird. I still think it's weird when white women get tans to look like my skin tone. Like I still like they get the spray tans, they go and get a tan, and they literally sometimes they even end up darker than me. Like that is for me that's weird. And the fact that you can't find beauty in your natural skin tone, that you have to darken your skin, like I find that to be kind of sad actually. For years the porcelain white has seen as beautiful. In Asian cultures, the porcelain white is still seen as beautiful. I think every skin tone's beautiful. I don't think you need to look like someone like me in order to be beautiful. You don't need to get my skin tone. Um, and then I know in the black community, bleaching is a thing. Some black women will bleach their skin to get it lighter, again, to try to look like the mixed person. And I think it's weird too. Now women are changing their makeup and making themselves look as though they are mixed with their makeup. Like they literally are doing their makeup certain way so they have features and they look a certain way so they don't look white or they don't look just authentically black or Hispanic or whatever. And that's weird too. It is. I'll just be honest. Like, if you ever see me, you won't ever see me do my makeup crazy like that. In part because I don't need to, but also because I just don't like it. I just don't. I think natural beauty is the best beauty, and that makeup's just supposed to enhance the beauty that you have. That's just me personally. Um, so I do think that our society does kind of they might not say mixed people, but I do think that it is a thing. And I know that there's people, I know women who purposely will say they'll marry someone of the other race just so they can have mixed kids. Like that's like a fetish. I knew someone that just really wanted kids with curly hair. And like for me that's just weird. Like it's just weird to me. And especially it's weird when it's like a white woman who really wants their kids to have curly hair, but then she doesn't like she'll marry a black man, but then she doesn't want anything to do with black culture. She just wants the kid to have that curly. Like that I have problems with. And that's a thing. Um At least, I mean, these are things I notice as a mixed person. I see these things. I notice this. People might not notice it that much. I notice it because, as a mixed person, you notice when people act differently, and I mean, there's just different things. Yeah. The next one's false expectation. So, this deals with what people would assume a mixed person would be like. So one thing that I got growing up was people would be surprised when they would hear me talk. I remember when I was younger, my cousins would say I sound like a white girl. I don't think I sound like a white girl. I think I sound like me. Um, but like, people will have the expectation of what I should be like. Um, I'm not black enough. I don't act, that's the main thing that I would get is that I don't act black enough. I don't look black enough. My hair's not black enough. Like it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, if you look at my hair color, it's kind of a light brown. That's because I have a lot of blonde hair in it. Now it's not like, nowadays people are going and they're putting blonde streaks in their hair, they're highlighting it. Mine, and this is just natural blonde hair throughout that makes it a light brown color. So I don't have like chunks of blonde or anything like that. It's just my hair color is this color. Um, and so that was the thing. My hair wasn't dark enough. That was a thing. The expectation of my hair. Or like the way that my hair, like if somebody did my hair, um, they expected it to behave a certain way, whether it's the black person or the white person doing my hair. I remember I went to get my hair done for it was a ball, some type of ball. And as a mixed person, it's hard to find someone that knows how to do your hair because, with mixed people hair, it's different. And this black lady did not know how to do my hair. Like my hair was curly, yes, but it's not like a black person's hair. It's very soft. And so she did my hair, but she didn't know how to hold the curl in it. She didn't know what to do to keep my hair in its shape. Um, yeah. And then like sometimes when people see my hair, they have like these expectations of how my hair will feel or, you know, how be like I have curly hair and it's big. And a lot of people feel like, oh, it's hard to do my hair. It's not hard to do my hair. I know that's the case for a lot of people with curly hair. My hair is easy to do. I don't like to do my hair. I mean, I like to do it, but I don't like to do it at the same time. But my hair is easy to do. And my hair is very soft. My hair is very, very soft. So a lot of times people see my hair and they think it's gonna, like when you look at my hair now, I'm pretty sure some people they feel that my hair probably is greasy or that it has gel in it, or, but it's not. It's actually very soft. It's very, and whenever somebody touches my hair, they're always like, "Oh wow, your hair's so soft." Yeah, it is. Like just looking at my hair, they have an expectation of how my hair would be. Um, and then also the expectation of my behavior. Um, Obviously, a lot of times people get surprised when they find out I do ballet. Um, you know, the fact that I'm a dietitian, I don't look like a typical dietitian. That's a thing, by the way. The majority of dietitians are white. Nothing wrong with that, but I mean, I don't fit the mold. Um, Black women don't fit the mold either. Um, People are in terms of my intellect, some people are surprised how smart I am. I'm very smart. I have a very high IQ. I don't tell and brag about my IQ, but it is high. Um, and so sometimes that throws people off because, like, I know I look a certain way and I may give off certain vibes, but then when I start talking, I might say things that are like at this level and people might not understand or comprehend. And I know that's in part, like, people have an expectation when they look at me. They do, in terms of my intellect, my abilities, like all these things. Um, I don't know if that's necessarily because I'm mixed or just because like the I know like my I have I'm not intimidating looking or anything like that, but that is something that I have experienced. Um, One of the things in here says you're stuck up. Um, so like mixed girls are considered to be quote unquote stuck up and and all that. I did experience that. Some people would assume that of me growing up. I don't really think people think of me now. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. Um, but that was something. Um, Okay, our skin tone is the next one. I already talked about this one, how people are fascinated with our skin tone. I've gotten compliments on my skin tone. They said my skin tone's beautiful. I will say this camera here does not really, like, it does not look like my skin tone looks very white right now. I don't know why. If you have makeup, I'm tan. I'm classic tan or the color cappuccino. I put a cappuccino down. I look exactly like cappuccino on my skin tone. Um, I've gotten compliments on my skin tone all the time. Um, and oh yeah, I look almost as tan as you. That's something that I get when white people get a tan. They might be like, "Oh, look, I'm your color." Like, okay, that's a weird comment to get. Um, oh, this is a good one. So, within the Black community, um, again, I brought up the racism earlier. There's a tendency of saying rude comments to mixed and light-skinned people because of the past racism. They feel like they have a past and that it's okay to say certain things and kind of like talk bad about the fact you have this white side, right? So some of the comments I've heard people call me like yellow bone and red bone. Um, Light and bright, lighty, you're so light. And it's true. If I'm in a picture with a bunch of Black people, I stand out. I don't look Black. I know that. I definitely am different. I get it. But when I take pictures with a bunch of white people, they don't say comments about like, "Oh, look at this darker skinned person here." They never say anything, but it's always the black people who have to say the rude comments to me. Um, and I really don't like it. It's a turn off whenever they do that. Like, I really do get mad. And I've had really close friends say things to me about my skin tone. And like, I mean, I really like, I'm very forgiving, but it is like, if you want to know like what goes through my mind about, like, I really am like, this person is so like, I can't believe that they're stuck in the 1800s. I can't believe that they are still thinking that like it's just so for me, I don't like I understand that there are people who grew up and they're around black people all the time. Their family's black, they go to a black church, their friends are black, they don't associate with white people at all. And so when you're in an environment like that, I can see, you turning on the white person. Plus, like the media today talks bad about white people all the time. So if you're fed all this stuff over and over and over again, then I can see why you would act that way. But I will say, like, it is very frustrating. There is a clear difference with my black friends that are isolated and they're only with the black people all the time. And I will say this, a lot of black people who are around a lot of black people all the time, they're not just around black people, they're around other races too. So they think they're not racist because they know a white person or they know someone that's Hispanic that they hang out with. But if like 90% of the people you talk with or 70% of the people you talk with are black, your perspective is very different from the black person that's around a more diverse environment. So, like I said, I grew up in a military community. My closest friends are those that are from that type of community. So like my best friend, like I will say she's my ride or die best friend. We grew up military community. She's black. She understands different races. She doesn't say racial comments ever. I've never heard her say racial comments. The people I grew up with in high school never said racial comments ever. There's a lot of black people in my class. I've never heard they say any racial comments. It's those people who live in a bubble and they're just around black people all the time that say the racist things. And so it's a turn off. You know, get cultured. If you're one of those people, get cultured and hang out with other people. Like literally, if you live in a community where you feel isolated, go on a trip. Like literally force yourself to get exposed to other things because it's literally like it's pathetic. If you ask me, it's pathetic. Um, it's a turn off. All right, the next one is the corporate world. Um, I don't think if I really experienced being treated that much different because of being mixed. But I do think I've been treated differently because I am colored. I have black descent. So I don't think my mixedness necessarily was a drawback. I think it's the fact that I have African American in me that was a drawback itself. So I think the things that I've encountered in the corporate world is similar to some of the things that the black people would encounter. Um, so I would say that it's similar. I don't think that every time that you don't get a job or that you don't get a raise or when a boss says something, I don't think it's always about race. I definitely don't, for sure. And I know a lot of people, they like to say, whoa, I didn't get this job because I was black. Eh, maybe you're not as qualified as some of the white people. I'm just saying. Um, but I know that that sometimes is the case and that has happened to me. There was someone that was not. So this is an interesting story. I bring this up because I got in an argument with my sister because I brought this up and she believed that like it's like a big thing. Like it's a huge problem that Black people aren't getting jobs because they're Black. I know that that is a thing, but I don't think it's always a thing. But in my case, this did happen. I was applying to a hospital for a job, and they made it sound like, oh, yeah, you might get this job. They ended up hiring a white lady who was not even a dietitian yet. Like, she literally just graduated from school. She did not pass her RD exam. Um, and so, obviously, that was a thing. Like, why would you pick her over me? I'm more qualified than she is, right? So it has happened to me. That's only one instance. There's some other cases too. Um, but do I think every time that something happens to me, it's because of the color of my skin? Absolutely not. Will I use that as an excuse for my future and all that? No. Like, everybody's going to have something that keeps them from climbing the corporate ladder in some form or fashion. You can use it as an excuse and you can be, woe is me, or you can rise above and do what you have to in order to achieve your goals. And I'm not one to sit here and throw a pity party. If somebody's treating me like that, I don't even want to work for you. No, like there's plenty of other jobs out here where I could find that they're going to treat me with decency. And I can sit here and complain and point out, like, oh, they treated me this way, they treated me this way. What good is that? Like, what is that actually going to achieve? In my opinion, it's not going to really achieve much of anything. Like, it's just going to cause more drama. And sometimes people act this way. It's not that they're intentionally trying to be racist, they're just ignorant. And I will say this, and I'm sorry, all my Black friends, all the Black listeners that are listening. I know that there are very smart Black people. I know that. I'm smart. I'm mixed, but I know there's a lot of smart Black people. I went to grad school. There were Black people who were working on their PhD who were brilliant minds. So don't get it twisted when I say the next thing that I say. Okay? I currently live in a Black town, predominantly Black town. I've also taught at my university um, some undergrad classes. Unfortunately, a lot of the stereotypes are true. A lot of Black people do not apply themselves. Okay. And so if I'm an employer and I see the tendency of every time I interview a Black person and every time that I hire a Black person, they don't show up to work or they don't have good work ethic or, whatever the case, be hesitant to hire them. That's just the truth. Okay. And I know it's unfortunate for those who actually do have the good work ethic, but it is the truth. As someone who lives in a Black town, I refuse, I repeat, I refuse to get medical treatment in my town. I will drive to another town that is not predominantly Black because I've had bad experiences with the people in this town. Okay. And yes, they were doctors and all of that. So I'm sorry. I'm not trying to dog Black people, but there is a different level of uh I know this sounds bad, but it is the truth in what I've encountered in this particular town. Now I will say, like, when you're in a community like where I grew up, the military community, you don't see that laziness as much. You don't see like it's not as predominant. So that's why I say, like, I think there is definitely a cultural thing. Like if you're around certain group of people, certain type of Black person, it definitely will influence your behavior, okay, negatively. And so, again, I'm not trying to, I know some people are going to listen to this and they're going to be mad that I said this, but this is what I've encountered, okay? The Black people, back in the military bases, like my dad, he was an Army Ranger. You don't become an Army Ranger unless you are tough and you are hardworking. Okay, that's just the truth. Okay, that's the caliber of people in that type of community. Okay, but here I go to Walmart the level of I don't want to talk bad, okay? I don't want to talk bad. But there's a reason why some white people won't hire certain black people. If they would come encountered with black people who act like that over and over again, you would be hesitant because I am hesitant myself, okay? If y'all don't like that, then you need to work on yourself as a whole and help bring up the black community so that way we don't have these issues, okay? Be mad at me all you want, well, but it is the truth. I mean, the customer service in this town where I live is horrendous. And I've lived here for 4 years. I've lived in other towns. This is the first town that's primarily black that I lived in. And this is considered to be one of the upper class towns for black people in the DFW area. And so that's my view. Okay. So I will say that I can understand the corporate world a little bit being a little hesitant because of that. Okay. Not that I'm all for the corporate world doing that. Obviously, prove yourself, have that resume and all of that. But at that me, I mean, I'm not gonna let that stop me. I'm gonna go where they're gonna hire me. And I'm not gonna sit there and just complain all the time. Right? Like everyone needs to expose themselves to different cultures. The white people need to be around black people. The black people need to be around more white people. That's just it. Okay. The next one is our identity. We get asked this all the time. Who do you identify with? Mostly. If you're mixed with black and white, it's automatically assumed that you're black and that you should identify yourself as black. Like that is just quite common. Like you're black. If you have one drop of blood in you that's black, you're black. I'll be honest for myself. I grew up with both parents in the household. My mom is an authentic German. My dad, like I said, was in the military, so there were times he would be in the fields, he would not be home, and it would be literally just my mom raising us. Okay, so who do I identify most with? I identify with both. Literally, it's the truth. I identify with both. Now, I live in America, so when I'm here in America, I definitely am gravitating towards the black side of me because that's what's here. White America is not German. It's very different. And I know there's white people here that have German descent. White American with German descent is not the same as Germans in Germany. It's very, very different. Okay. Um, so I don't necessarily identify with white America. I see white America kind of like how I see Hispanics and Asians. Like, I like all cultures. I like everyone. I don't see myself as white American. It's just very different. Okay. Um, Now, someone outside looking in, they probably are like, Stacy, white is white. Okay. A lot of my black friends will say that white is white. I personally, because I've hung out with white people here in America, and I've been in Germany. I lived in Germany. I visited Germany. It is completely different. I am sorry. It's very different. Um, I do identify with both. Now I know that this is a problem for some people, and particularly some people um again, I feel like I'm bashing the black people a lot. But like I said before, I get most of the hate and the negativity from the black people. The black people hate when I say I'm German. They don't like when they say that I identify as German or white. Or like they don't want me to say that I'm mixed. They want me to say I'm black. And there's some black people that's like, yeah, it's cool. You can call yourself mixed uh or German. But like I said, the most shade I get about identifying with both sides is from the black side. And again, that goes back to that racism. I'm sorry. As a mixed person, I experience it more on the black side. I just do. And it's a shame that that's the case, but it is. It's the truth. Um, so I do identify with both. I identify so there's different elements of each that I identify with. So like music, I identify more with the African American like music, so R&B and rap. Um, food, I identify with both. The way that I talk, I feel I identify with both. Um, some of my tendencies, like the way that I take care of my house, the way that I handle conflict, the way that I am honest, that's very German. Um, even some of the way that like I wear my clothes and things like that, it's very German. Um, but some of it's also very black. I do like if you were to come to my house, like the way that I run my house is not black. It's more German. Like I have more German tendencies with the way I like run my house. Um, than and that's because I was raised by my mom, you know, not my I mean, yes, my dad was there, but my dad was the dad. I mean, my mom did the household things and stuff like that. And I've been in Germany, I've been among my grandparents and I see how they do things, and I have black relatives and I see how they do things. It's more, I think it's more German the way I actually like run my house. Uh, so I feel like I act very German. Um, I have a lot of German tendencies, which throws people off. A lot of people, because there's, again, here in America, it's mostly white, not German. And so when I act German, like they don't expect it from me because I don't look like, blonde hair, blue eyes German. And so they get thrown off, especially my black friends, they get thrown off because they expect me to act black. And so sometimes I get misinterpreted and misunderstood because of that. Um, yeah. Um, all right. Huh. Our identity. You must speak Spanish. I get that all the time. That even happened today when people were talking to me in Spanish. I do want to learn Spanish because in America, unless I live in a military town, I don't really see people that look like me. The people that look most like me are the Hispanics. And so um, I would like to know more Spanish. I think going to Ecuador like really made me feel better about myself because a lot of them look like me. And if you don't see people who look like you, and then all of a sudden you see a ton of people that look like you, it was kind of cool. So, and I know like South America, it's just like a melting pot of like mixed races and all that, which that's why that's the case. So that's in part why I want to learn Spanish because I would love to go visit more. Um, just being around people that it's weird, just being around people that look like you, it makes you feel, even though you're not the same race and you don't speak the same language, it's sometimes nice to just blend in. And most people blend in, so they don't understand how it feels not to blend in. But like I always not blended in, and then I went to South America and I blended in, and it was a nice feeling. So I do want to learn Spanish and pretend that I'm Hispanic. Expectations. Yes, there's some expectations of me. They assume because a lot of people see me more black, and so they have the stereotypes of me. I kind of talked about this already. They would assume that I'll act more black than I do, um, and that's not always the case. Um, I mean, I do act black with some things, but not always. Um, let's see. Our hair. I already talked about my hair. So I will skip that. Um, Biology. Okay, if your dad is black, you're black. If you're mixed, you're black. Like these are things I've heard. Any ounce of black in you makes you black. No. And I hear this from black people. I don't hear it from white people. I hear it from black people. White people, they're accepting of my white side. Whenever I tell people I'm German on the white side, they are like, wow, like they're so intrigued. They're very open to me, you know. Um, it's not like, oh, you got black in you. Oh, it's never like that. It's never like it's never like that. Like any type of racist comments on the white side, like it's never been like comments. It's always been like I said, it wasn't comments, it's more of like ignorance and like more of like misunderstanding and stereotyping as opposed to just saying rude comments to me. Like, I've never experienced that ever in all my life. I've never experienced a white person saying something mean about my race ever or about black people in general. It's always the black people. It sounds like I hate black people, but I hang out with black people more than anybody. But I'm saying it because I'm hoping some of my friends listen to this and they kind of realize like you're wrong. Our character. Um, I don't know what to say about this. I mean, they're talking about black women. So there is a stereotype of the angry black woman. I will say that this stereotype is actually like you have black women that actually fit that mold, the angry black woman, but then you have black women that are like really sweet and nice. I feel like you don't have that many in the middle. I don't fit the mold of the bitter, angry black woman. And so I think because of that, like I see how people react to me versus some of like other black women um that are bitter and black. Um and I think again, I think there's some black women, it's not that they're angry black women. It's just some black women are just so stern and like it's almost like you have to be careful with what you say around them because they might give you a look or they might snap at you. And it's not necessarily that they're mean. I think some of them they're really stressed because there's a lot of single mothers, black single mothers, and they have to carry the weight of both, you know, parents or they work extra hard, extra hours, so they're tired. Um, so I wouldn't say like they're all like bitter black women. I will say like out of I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just bashing black people here, but because again, I hang out with everyone. Out of all the different races that I hang out with, black women, not black men, black women, I encounter more mean black women than any other group. And I don't know if it's because of those things I said or if it's a culture thing. I kind of feel like culture kind of um, teaches black women to be that way. It's kind of like a thing, like to be a tough black woman. But I personally, I don't like it. Like, I don't like it's a turn off. Like when there's a woman that acts like that, like I don't like to hang out with them really. And I mean, some of these women are even Christian. And if they're not, if I don't see them acting soft, Some of them, they hardly ever smile. They don't say compliments or anything. Then there's some that are really, really sweet. And it's those sweet ones that I really like gravitate towards. So like at my church, there's some really, really sweet women. But then there's also some there that aren't. And I would not want to hang out with them at all, you know. Um, but I definitely right now I might sound like a bitter black woman because I'm complaining a little bit. But for the most part, like people they don't get that vibe from me. A lot of people say I'm very cheery and chippery and goofy, and um, they say that yeah, that's not really a vibe. I'm not an argumentative person, really. I mean, I'll talk about the Bible and have my opinions about the Bible, but it's not like it's all in fun, you know. Other than that, I mean, I don't really. I mean, with my immediate family, sometimes we get into it, but I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, who doesn't argue with their sisters and things like that? But um, why are you always serious or angry? Yeah, so that is a common thing that I notice with Black women. Not all, but some of them. Our parents, um, I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, my parents are who they are. They're Black and German. Your heritage. Yeah, I pretty much talked about my heritage. I love my heritage. Wouldn't trade it for anything. Yeah. So she talks about her experience just like I just talked about mine. I took about an hour talking about it. You probably can get through this book in about the same amount of time. Um, well, maybe not, but it's relatively fast to get through it. My experience is very different from her experience, and I think for me, this made me start thinking about my own life and kind of ponder being mixed. I didn't, again, I was around a lot of mixed people growing up. It wasn't until I was in college that I really was like, oh, I'm different. There's literally no mixed people here in my university, you know. And still to this day, like all the mixed friends I have are the friends I had from when I lived in Killeen, right by the military base. So, I don't have any new mixed friends. I haven't had new mixed friends in a long time. And the one mixed friend that I did get, she doesn't even claim to be mixed. She says she's black, even though she looks more mixed than me. Um, but she grew up in a black environment. She didn't grow up like how I grew up. I grew up by a German mom. She grew up, everyone in her environment was black. So, uh, she acts definitely more black and she has more of a black view than someone like me. So even though she looks mixed, I have to remind myself that yes, she's mixed, but her thought pattern and stuff is more like a black person instead of a mixed person. Um, so all right. Um, so that was this book. I will have my review of all the books I read in the month of August in a separate video. This was an interesting book. It's not my favorite book, I'll be honest, but it was intriguing to read. If you're a mixed person, it's definitely something you probably would get something from it. Um, and it'll make you think about your own life and the experiences that you've encountered. If you are someone that maybe you're a mother and you're raising mixed children, or you are, you know, a friend of a mixed person, and um, just know that every mixed person is different. I grew up feeling fine about my mixedness. But I will say, people who do not grow up in an environment where there's a lot of mixed people, they typically have more negative thoughts about being mixed, and it's a little bit more challenging for them. I'm very grateful that I had an environment where there were other people like me. Um, so everyone's experience is different. So that's why, reading books like this, if you, again, are raising mixed kids, seeing different perspectives. I know Mariah Carey has a book about growing up mixed, and her experience is very different again. Um, if you, again, have mixed children, it might do you a benefit of trying to put them in a place where there are people who look a lot like them, even if they don't look exactly like them, you know, like being around Hispanics, or moving to a metropolitan area that's more diverse. Now, I say that I live in Dallas. Dallas is considered diverse, but personally, I think Dallas is segregated. It's just me. Like I said, I live in South Dallas. Is primarily black. We're getting more Hispanics moving out here, but it's primarily black. Um, and then there's different parts of Dallas that's like more white or more Hispanic. There's some areas that are diverse, but if you're able to find a diverse place, so that way your children can be exposed to different people, so they can see that there's other people that look like them, or that there's other people who might be isolated from people that look like them too. I know, like, for instance, some of my Asian friends, there weren't that many Asian people in my school. So it was easy to gravitate towards each other because we didn't have that many people that looked like us, so we could hang out with each other, right? So, like different things like that. Um, all right. This was a long video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments that you would like to share, friendly comments, if you have some, this is my own experiences, and I know that I probably stated some things that might have offended some people. I'm not trying to offend, but the only reason why I stated some of the things I said is because I was offended personally, through my life. So take it however it may be. Um, So feel free, share, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.